My name is Julianna Alvord, and I'm a technical lead manager on the data engineering team. Runway is a district-facing application that allows users to upload their assessment files and allow that to land into their EdFi ODS. It was created because many assessment vendors do not have native integrations into EdFi, so there was no way for districts to be able to combine their assessment data with data from other sources, including their student information system. But for reporting, it's so important to be able to combine assessment data with data like grades, attendance, and discipline. So Runway basically gives all the power back to the districts. So they are able to decide which files they want to give to us and see what happens. The old system was very much a black box for districts, where they would upload a file to us via a different service, and they wouldn't know what happens to it until they go and actually try to look for that data in some of our downstream applications. Now with Runway, they're able to upload a file and see what was successful, how many records were sent, and if there are any students that we weren't able to match. Being a self-service tool is very important because it gives them all of the power to give us the data that they want to be part of their data system. So this means that they can go in, upload a file, and see what happens, see how many records, see where there were errors, and see if there's anything that they need to do. So under the hood of Runway, we use the open source tools of Earthmover and Lightbeam. Earthmover is what actually transforms that underlying assessment file that is given to us by a district into the EdFi shape, and then Lightbeam allows us to actually interact with an EdFi API to validate and send records. And because we are landing those assessment records within this EdFi system, and that EdFi system is what powers all of our other applications, once you land those assessment records into EdFi, they will flow downstream into Stadium Data Warehouse, which is what powers Rally and Podium. So it's really never guaranteed that an ID from an assessment file is going to match the ID that we have in the EdFi ODS. So one of the nicest features about Runway is that we will basically do a comparison of all of the various student IDs that we see in an assessment file and compare that with any of the IDs that we have already in the EdFi system. And it will basically subset the original file given to us back down to those students that don't match and give it right back to them and say, we don't know who this student is, maybe their ID is wrong, and that allows districts to be given the information so that they can make changes to actually be able to then land those students by fixing an ID and re-uploading. Data governance is really vital when it comes to assessment data because the assessment domain of EdFi is really flexible. And what we were seeing historically is that there were so many different ways that you could shape your assessment data to actually allow it to land into EdFi's structure. But the problem is then analytics on top of a really flexible structure can be very difficult. And our whole goal is to write code that can be used for multiple different partners or multiple different domains or multiple different types of assessments, for example. So the data governance that we've been working on in the assessment domain is to kind of come up with a set of rules that we follow when we are mapping that data into the EdFi structure so that those analytics can be used for any assessment, and we don't need to rewrite, which costs time and money to actually be able to display those data on applications like Podium and Rally.